All right, cuckolds. This is going to be a more serious video than usual. Just kidding, bitches. Not at all. But the topic is a bit more serious. There's going to be some commentary here that goes beyond wrestling. But of course, wrestling, as usual, is our central focus here. The video is about the complete feminization of society and the emasculation of men as it pertains to both wrestling and everyday life, motherfuckers. Right? Here's the problem, right? With all this push, which in wrestling is manifested by the women's revolution, in order to put over something like the women's revolution, the women have to seem tough, right? They have to seem badass. That's why you go and you hire Ronda Rousey, and that's why you convert Becky Lynch to a new gimmick called The Man, where she just walks around as if she's The Rock or something. In order for this to work, the men have to be taken down a peg. They cannot coexist. Because as I said on my last video, which is uploading as we speak, motherfuckers, as I said in that video, JBL beats up Shaniqua, motherfuckers. That's just how it works. So in order for me to believe that someone like Becky Lynch is legit and tough, I have to stifle other tough people, right? Other tough people include someone like Brock Lesnar. Now, Brock Lesnar is an anomaly and an exception. You cannot stifle Brock Lesnar. His mere presence is enough. But that's why, in my opinion, we have these beta males fighting for the WWE championships. We have people like Seth Rollins, fucking Kofi Kingston, and then like a few years ago, Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano. These dudes all weigh like 175 pounds. Now, I'm sure they could beat my ass, but it'd be a close fight, motherfuckers. Believe me, it would be a close fight between these jabrones. Now, if I were to fight, I don't know, Batista, for example, or like a Randy Orton, it would not be a close fight. They would beat my ass. You understand what I'm saying? There's a big difference. But in order to show that these women have now reached a level, that of a man, you must bring the men down. Because it wasn't that long ago when the Dudley Boys, who were arguably under lower mid-card guys, they were like they were the best tag team, but the tag teams were not treated with any kind of respect. They, despite being like way low on the card, like it would be inconceivable for Devon to beat Stone Cold in a match or Bubba Ray to beat Triple H in a match. That's just preposterous, right? But they would periodically powerbomb women through tables. Today, you couldn't have that because obviously you can't simultaneously have women are awesome and they're just as good as the men and then have them be put through tables. Now, this relatively long first half of a metaphor that I've laid out for you motherfuckers is important because there is an analog to this in modern society. In one of my earlier videos, I mentioned one of my biggest pet peeves, and that is the death of the action hero. I grew up in a time when action heroes were a thing. I grew up in a time, in the 90s, motherfuckers, where we had movies with legitimate actors who were badass, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, motherfuckers, Jean-Claude Van Damme, bitches. You understand what I'm saying? Stallone, all these people, right? People that were doing these legit movies where it was a dude who looked like he could kill you. Schwarzenegger could kill you, man. There's no doubt about it. Now, that has taken a backseat, and action movies like John Wick, which is a fantastic action movie, don't get me wrong, I love John Wick, and I like Keanu Reeves too. But Keanu Reeves is not an alpha male as compared to the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger, or even like, honestly, even like prime Nick Cage, even like someone like that. There's an aura, there's a presence, and Keanu Reeves does have some of it. But Keanu Reeves has always been this more of like a pretty boy type. Like he's closer to like Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Gosling than he is to like Schwarzenegger or even like the Rock, which is kind of a goofball, right? There is no hope left with the creation of these pseudo action movies that we have, right? Where it's like some skinny dude just destroying things that, like when Adrian Brody, like I said, kills 20 predators and Arnold can barely kill one in an entire movie. You know, what the fuck's going on, right? This opens the door for all these action movies with women, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with having action movies with women whatsoever. I don't really watch them myself just because I don't really like modern action movies. There's nothing wrong with this. But what there is something wrong with is the general trend that society has kind of bandwagoned on, right? That it's no longer good to be a man. We have invented terms like toxic masculinity in order to explain things that a mere 10 years ago were just considered masculinity, motherfuckers. Now, I'm not defending like people, obviously men groping women or being disrespectful or attacking people or any of that bullshit. Those are all crimes. We're not cool with crimes here at the hater channel. But what I am defending is that edge that men inherently have. When you want to laugh at something, right? When I say motherfucker, and if you want to laugh in your head, some part of you might be thinking, well, is this appropriate to laugh at? That wasn't very funny. I don't know if that's okay. Or when I make fun of KennyOmega wearing a dress, I know some of you, especially those people that come to my channel, but oh, I didn't like what you said about Kenny. Leave my beautiful Kenny alone. Like some part of you might think, and this is normal, some part of you might think, whoa, why is he making fun of Kenny for dressing like a girl? What's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with dressing like a girl. That's not at all what I'm mocking here. What I'm mocking here is two things. Number one, irony, like I always say, motherfuckers. And two, that this is not a single incidents, I should say, of KennyOmega dressing like a girl. This is part of a greater cultural shift where men are encouraged to be more feminine. This, in the animal kingdom, fuckers, that's right. You learn some things about animals around these bitches right here. The hater took an animal sciences class in college, motherfuckers. So in the animal kingdom, the beta male, right? Like let's use the ultimate example of the beta male, the beta fish. The beta fish is a species, right, of fish that reproduces, right, by essentially camouflaging themselves in a school of fish, right? So there's the alpha fish that eat these beta fish. And these beta fish pretty much pretend that they're different fish. They pretend they're like women of different species. It's just part of their instinct, right? And that's how they are able to survive and procreate. Now, this mentality has seeped into the humans, motherfuckers. Humans do this now. You all know someone like this. Someone that doesn't get laid, right? And whose only strategy to impress girls is to throw other men under the bus. This is a very, very cuckish mentality to have. And it is one that has been encouraged by popular society that frowns on traditional masculinity, which emphasizes confidence, physical strength, charisma, posture, a variety of small but consequential things. Instead now, we have an entire generation almost of weak men who cry at movies. And if you're one of those people that cries, don't worry, I don't hate you motherfuckers. But try to correct that shit. This whole argument of it's okay for men to cry. Yes, in very specific scenarios, like the death of a loved one, it's okay for a man to cry. It is not okay for a man to cry while watching a cartoon. This is fucking weird, man. If you're that kind of person, there's something went awry in your upbringing. You understand what I'm saying? Now, of course, if you cry at a movie, that's cool too, man. It's not your fault. It is part of this general trend that has been going on around us that is encouraging men subliminally to not behave like men. And again, this would be completely fine. There is no issues at all with this. If that's what you want to do, be my guest, man. I believe in absolute freedoms. As long as you don't hurt me or hurt anybody else, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And by hurt, I mean hurt physically. I don't give a shit. You can say what you want. You can go wherever you want. You can consensually have sex with whoever you want. Except for children, of course, you sick bastards. You understand? But the problem is this. This has led to an entire generation of unhappy men and an entire decade of absolutely garbage entertainment for the vast majority. The problem is this. This is why you see an over-reliance on reboots and remakes, because people are out of ideas. And they're not out of ideas because someone can't conceive of another Con Air-esque movie like Con Air, for example, right? Of course they can. But they have to now go through all these machinations of what is and is not appropriate. Why is there a female lead in this like blockbuster action pick? Because it won't sell, man. That's why, motherfuckers. It won't sell. Even if it sells in America, the European market, right? Especially like the Eastern European market, the Chinese market, which are big markets, motherfuckers, especially for action movies, they do not buy into this idea that Scarlett Johansson can go around beating up men 3 times her size. They're like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to watch this. My dad and I, many years ago, were watching Kill Bill, and my dad's just laughing his ass off the whole time. I'm like, Dad, what's so funny? He's like, well, this like blonde girl just butchered like 50 men with a sword. He's like, the only reaction I can have to this is to laugh. He's like, this is so preposterous that I have to laugh. And I was like, well, I was kind of like foolish back then. I'm like, oh, Dad, like, that's just the style of the movie. You just don't understand Tarantino, Dad. My dad was like, whatever, kid. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying, right? There is a shift in culture that has allowed for these things to happen. And like everything else, there is an opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost in this context is 2 things, like I said. 1, a lack of good entertainment. And 2, an entire generation, not an entire generation, but a majority of us, the millennials. I say us because I'm assuming most people that are here are millennials, and maybe Gen Z, I guess, right? But Gen Z, I actually have hope for them. They're smart. But the millennials, we are, you might even argue we are a failed generation, improperly socialized people that have been incorrectly indoctrinated into thinking that weakness is good, you know? Like the ultimate lie that is told to children. Oh, the bully bullied you because he's insecure. No, fam. The bully bullied you because you have shown signs of weakness. You did not stand up to the bully. You were not willing to get your ass kicked to stand up for yourself. You were much better off faking an illness to go to the nurse's office. And that's fine, man. You were a kid. I can't blame you. I blame society that told you that it's not okay to punch this bully in the face. And normally, I would agree, it's not okay. But it's better for your psyche to stand up for yourself. And at the end of the day, if you get into a fight in middle school, the implications on your life are near zero. And then as you grow up with confidence, and you don't get bullied in the real world, where it is no longer appropriate to start fighting because you go to prison as you should. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's all these kind of alpha mailings going on in society, less and less so, of course. But up until very recently, the entire trend was this. If you get bullied, you stand up for yourself. Every sitcom of the 90s had an episode where someone's bullied and they're told to like stand up for themselves, but don't be too aggressive, don't be violent, you know, but basically like have a backbone, right? No one's saying beat the guy with a chair. Of course not, right? You can't be a savage either, but stand up for yourself. And this is something that is lost. And it is much easier, in my opinion, to stand up for yourself against a bully when before you stand up to the bully, you're at home watching Arnold Schwarzenegger beat up like 30 dudes, and you're like, oh man, like I want to be like him. And maybe that inspires you to hit the gym a little bit. You're like, I want to be like Arnold. You'll never be like Arnold, most likely, right? But you can be like Seth Rollins, doesn't take that much, right? You go, you lift some weights, and you're like, oh, you get your confidence up, you become a man. Now, why would you do that? You turn on TV and you see Ryan Gosling, right? Being like, oh, my feelings. Oh, La La Land. I love like Emma, whatever, Watson, whatever the fuck her name is. Oh, I love her. Like, and that's good. There's a part for that too. But we can't have everyone become that fragile poet guy. We need some people to be responsible men. And the war, I don't want to say the war of masculinity. That's how cliche is that shit, right? But this cultural shift, right, that encourages men to not be men is a big problem. And it is a big problem in wrestling as well. Like I said in the previous video, Brian Cage lost to Tessa Blanchard. Now, I don't know Brian Cage personally. Maybe he's an SJW, and that's fine too. You can do whatever you want, man. Like I said, be whatever you want. But I have a feeling that Brian Cage, if this scenario was presented to him in the year 2005, he'd be like, what? Are you kidding me? There's a video on YouTube when Sid Vicious explains, Psycho Sid, motherfuckers, he explains that he was going to have like a match at some house show against Dean Malenko. And they're discussing it backstage before. Dean Malenko says to him, he says, well, you know, Sid, I do a really good drop toe hold. And it was going to be like a handicap match, I think, right? And then Sid's like, what? You do a good drop toe hold? He's like, here's what's going to happen. He's like, we're going to go to the ring. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. I'm going to hit you with my finisher. Then I'm going to drag your partner to the ring. And I'm going to hit him with my finisher. And I'm going to pin you both at the same time. And Dean Malenko's like, yeah, good point. That is what's going to happen. Because Dean Malenko understood what wrestling was. That he had to do the job for this guy. In order to build a character. Right? It was inconceivable for someone like Sid Vicious to lose a 2-on-1 handicap match against Dean Malenko, who's a grown man, and another similarly sized individual. Yet now, we're in a scenario where Brian Cage is losing to Tessa Blanchard. And shit is going to hit the fan eventually. People will revolt. If AEW had any sense, or any indie company had any sense, they would create like an entire wrestling show that's based entirely around what men want to see. Because I don't care how you spin it, the majority of viewers are men of wrestling. The vast majority are men. And the vast majority of people that turn the TV off when shit became stupid are men. And that's the difference between having 6 million views and fighting to barely get 1 million for NXT. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you cater to what men want in a man-centric thing, you will get more views. The culture has shifted to a way where now we're trying to cater to everyone with everything. And that's ridiculous. I don't go around like, I don't know, Mattel or Hasbro, whoever the fuck owns Barbie, and tell them, I want the Barbie to look like this. Because that's not me. I'm not their target demographic. I don't buy Barbies, right? Let the girls play with the Barbies, and let the boys play with the trucks, or let the boys watch wrestling. And hey, if you're a boy and you want to play with a Barbie, be my guest, man. Be my guest. But don't try to change it for the poor girls that have been playing with Barbies forever. Same exact thing, motherfuckers. Don't try to change what I like. And the problem is that this effeminate nature has plagued men already. And the vast majority of this men that have been plagued can be summarized by one word, motherfuckers. Neck beard, which is one word. Neckbeards. These are the beta fish of humans. These are people that go around, right, and try to sleep with women in the most duplicitous ways, including like white knighting, all these other things that they do, like, oh, I wouldn't treat you this way. Shut up, nerd. Nobody wants to hear that. If I could sit here and tell you guys how many feminists I have slept with, I'll use that word instead of the other one I wanted to use, how many feminists I've slept with throughout my time in college and in law school, it is a significantly large number. And the reason for that, I'm not bragging here to the people that I haven't met in real life, you understand? But the reason I bring this up is because these feminists espoused, espoused all these feminist viewpoints, right? And I liked them. They were nice girls. I'm not going to sit here and I agreed with a lot of what they were saying. Like, of course, I believe that women and men should be treated the same, right? Legally and even socially, of course, right? Same thing. It doesn't matter to me what race you are, what religion you are, what you look like. None of that matters. If you're cool and nice, I'm going to be cool and nice. Unless if you're a neckbeard or a smark or an AEW fan, you understand what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make is this, that these girls, even though they espouse these feminist views, a lot of which I agreed, but a lot of which I didn't agree with, right? Like, I didn't agree with these notions of like, oh, don't hold the door for me, I can do it myself. And I'm like, whatever, you know? But the reason that a lot of these girls liked me was not because I'm this, awesome guy. I mean, I like to think I am, you understand what I'm saying? But it's because of my attitude. And it's because at the end of the day, even the ultimate feminist, even that 400-pound blue-haired girl in your gender studies class, even she does not want a beta male. She might pretend she does, she might think she does, but she does not want that. She wants Arnold Schwarzenegger, motherfuckers. She doesn't want fucking Jake Gyllenhaal. Today, I saw People's Magazine, sexiest man alive, fucking John Legend. Are you fucking kidding me? John Legend? He's like the most average person I've ever seen in my life. John Legend? When we have like superior men in every capacity to him that don't get the same recognition. It's part of the same agenda, motherfuckers. It's part of this whole idea that in order to fit the mold, what women want is a completely average, sappy dude who plays the piano. No, they don't, motherfuckers. They don't. And if that's your strategy, it's not going to work. And if that's your strategy, it's probably because society has told you, oh, I want to look like Ryan Gosling. I want to have barely any muscles and just like smile and, be in romantic situations and hold the girls' hands. No, that's not what you should want. What you should want to do is be, I hate to beat a dead horse here, fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger or Van Damme. A guy with a lot of confidence, a lot of silent charisma, who just goes there and just plows through women, man. That's, and by plots for women, I mean sexually, motherfuckers. Don't think I'm advocating for the beating of women or anything like that, you sick bastards. So that's what I'm saying, right? You want like a Casanova type, like a dude who's out there just like a Val Venus, man. That's what girls want. They want like a guy like that. They don't want a CodyRhodes. You understand me? That's what I'm saying. They're like, fundamentally, there are, just like guys, I would venture to say that every guy that's listening to this probably wants a girl who is effeminate in one way or another. Unless, you know, you're a guy that is into masculine girls. I guess there's a minority of guys that are like that. Or if you're a gay guy or something like that, then of course this wouldn't apply to you. But if you're a straight man, you probably want effeminate women, right? And I don't mean effeminate like weak or anything like that, but feminine, right? You want women that are feminine. Long hair. I'm sure most people prefer long hair to short hair, right? You want them to shave their legs. You want them to do the things that make them feminine. Just like women want guys to do the things that make them masculine. So that's why, motherfuckers, when I see Becky Lynch or Tessa Blanchard and people are like, well, why don't you like this? Oh, they're attractive girls. Gee, I don't know, stupid. Maybe because I'm not attracted to a woman beating up a man. Maybe I'm more attracted to like a Lacey Evans, motherfuckers, like a nice Southern belle, you know, except of course she's a heel, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Maybe I'm attracted to someone like, if you guys remember Emma, or Tennille Dashwood now, when she was doing the Emelina gimmick, she looked stunning, you know, because they made her look like a woman, right? How can I be attracted to Ruby Riott? What the fuck? What's the point? She has a Ryan Gosling haircut. Why the fuck would I be attracted to that? She looks like a dude, and Ryan Gosling sometimes looks like a broad. So what the fuck is going on? That's what I'm saying. This all connects to itself and to everything else, motherfuckers. There is a clear theory here that in order to try to balance the scales of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman, we have to make the women more masculine and the men more feminine. And this is why we are in a situation, in a society, where we have men who try to get women, they think, and they might be right to some degree, they think that they can get women by, cucking out, as we say, motherfuckers, by being soft, by being submissive, by being agreeable. That's not what women want. And men do not want the analog of that as it pertains to women. Men don't want a woman that burps out loud, or a woman that like doesn't shave her armpits, or a woman that doesn't like give a shit about her appearance, right? That's not what men want. Now, of course, I'm talking about a very superficial thing here. Obviously, once you get to know someone, things change a lot. But I'm saying specifically, the desires of men and women are what they are because they've been like that for the entirety of the history of our species, more or less. So when we try to fuck with that balance, right, we invariably lose a lot of people that like that status quo, which is by far the majority of people. If you live in like a place like DC or New York or San Francisco or LA, you might think that, oh, no, the way we do it is better. It's not only not better, but it's not the way that most of the world does things, motherfuckers. Most of us want to see Con Air or Commando starring Arnold Schwarzenegger or The Rock starring Nicolas Cage. We want to see these types of movies. We don't want to see fucking Ghost in a Shell or whatever the fuck that stupid shit is. We don't want to see female Ghostbusters. I don't even see the real Ghostbusters. That doesn't appeal to me. But I don't want to see the same thing being done with women. And this over-reliance on reboots and remakes is a direct byproduct of this shift. Especially when they remake the movies with women, which I don't even understand what the point of that is. It's like, let's do the same thing, but let's do it with women. Why? I've already seen it once. You know what I'm saying? Well, I want to see it again. Like, the only things that should be like rebooted are like very simple stories, like superhero origin stories. Okay, cool. Oh, let's see again how Spider-Man became Spider-Man. So there you go, motherfuckers. That's what I'm trying to say. This kind of shift has led to some critically acclaimed movies that have flopped completely. And now men are forced to get their dose of masculinity by watching a guy called Captain America wear a weird mask and carry a shield while he's blowing some guy named Thor who has a giant hammer, right? These children's things have now taken the place where men bond. Like one of my friends is like, I got goosebumps when Iron Man or Thor, whoever the fuck said it, who said like, Avengers, like, unite, or whatever the fuck his catchphrase is, right? He said, I got goosebumps. And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, you wouldn't get these goosebumps if you grew up on a steady diet of legitimate action movies where you'd look at this and you'd be like, this is just childish nonsense. Like, it's a man with a cape and a man with a mask and a shield like jerking each other off. Like, I don't give a fuck at all, you know? Now, whatever. Everyone likes superheroes to a degree, but it is what it is. What I'm saying, ultimately, fuckers, is that with this shift, right, movies and entertainment that try to capture that, you know, grandiose awesomeness as it pertains to masculinity. And this also goes in other directions as well, right? I'm sure there's an analog for what girls like, but I'm not a girl, so I can't talk about that too much. But when movies capture this, a lot of time, like for example, Kingsman. If anybody watched Kingsman 1 and 2, I thought they were fantastic. I don't even like those types of movies, like with spies and shit. But or like James Bond. I've never been a fan. But Kingsman I thought was fantastic, right? And it got like pretty, I want to say horrible reviews, but it got like 60%, and it did really well in the theaters. And why did it get 60%? Because it's a bunch of men who act like gentlemen and who go and fight crime and beat up bad people, man. That's fundamentally what we want to see. And that's fundamentally what wrestling is supposed to be, sprinkled with the bad guy wins sometimes. That's what it's supposed to be, motherfuckers. It's not supposed to be, oh, the man's man is here. Oh, Kofi worked hard. I don't give a shit that he worked hard. I don't want my champion to work hard. I want him to be like Brock Lesnar, come in, beat everybody, leave. Or Goldberg. I want him to come in, destroy everyone. I don't want like, what kind of a storyline is that? Oh, I lost for 15 years and now I want to be champion. No, you lost for 15 years. Fuck off, motherfucker. That's what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why ratings in wrestling have gone down. Just like movies, except for superhero movies and other things that are overtly masculine, are doing horribly with the male demographic, right? Women are still going to watch rom-coms and whatever it is that women watch, and men are still going to watch like a thriller here and there. But that action element, that pure masculinity, which now we have incorrectly labeled as toxic masculinity, right, is the shift that I'm speaking of. Now, when I say toxic masculinity, I don't mean like, oh, like there's like a guy who gropes a woman in the office, or like a guy who beats up people for no reason. Those are just crimes. Those are not acceptable in any capacity. What I'm talking about is toxic masculinity, like being a little loud, you know, smoking cigarettes, things of that nature. You understand what I'm saying? And I wouldn't encourage smoking. I just quit myself. But you understand what I'm saying? In Boondock Saints 2, which is a very underrated movie compared to Boondock Saints 1, there's a dream sequence. I'll leave you with this, motherfuckers, where Rocco, I think his name was Rocco, right? Their friend from the first movie. In a dream, they basically feel guilty about Rocco dying. And in the dream, he's like, they don't want us to drive fast. They don't want us to eat red meat. They don't want us to smoke, drink, all these other things. And he's like, fuck it, do it all. Now, don't do it all, of course. No one's saying do it all seriously. But the idea is that movie captures that mentality, right? It captures that mentality of like, things are being pussified more and more. And if you look at the things that have been the most successful, like honestly, the things that pretty much define this decade, Game of Thrones, which is like swords and shit, fighting, I think, with swords, fucking Sons of Anarchy, one of my favorite shows, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the biggest show. Walking Dead, right? What's that all about? Fighting. And like some of the most masculine people ever, like fucking Rick and Daryl and Merle, that guy. These are like serious men who are like, oh shit, the zombie apocalypse is coming. How are we going to do it? Who's going to survive? Only the strong will survive, motherfuckers. That's what I'm saying. These things have historically done well, and they will continue to do well, right? Even superhero movies, like I said, they will continue to do well. It's not because of the flashy effects. It's because people are hungry for any kind of masculine catharsis or any kind of masculine release where they can be like, oh, being a man is cool again. You know, and being a man is cool if you're a man. Just like being a woman is cool if you're a woman. You know, do the things that make you happy and understand that sometimes the things that make you happy are not being presented to you because of some weird idea, right? That it's okay to feminize men and it's okay to masculinize women, which maybe it is. I'm not an expert, motherfuckers, even though I kind of am, I suppose. It is what it is. I just say that this is a big problem for our society, and especially as it pertains to wrestling, where the standards have shifted to now little tiny women are beating up these giant men, and people are defending it online as like, oh, it is possible. Well, Tessa Blanchard beat I don't know, Sami Callihan once, and Sami Callihan beat Brian Cage, so therefore by the transitive property, Tessa Blanchard could beat Brian Cage. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's not how it works, motherfuckers. But also, it's also foolish that she beat Sami Callihan. It's the same thing. Rey Mysterio can beat Benoit, and Benoit can beat Brock Lesnar. It doesn't mean that Rey Mysterio can beat up Brock Lesnar. That's ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying? Even if those statements were true, which they of course aren't. But that's what I'm saying, motherfuckers. So with that, I bid you good night, and we will talk soon about that Survivor Series of War Games, motherfuckers. I'm curious to see how this video does. Like if it gets, you know, the 130 views, if my subscribers see it. I'm curious to see if people like it or not, and if they're interested in me talking a bit more about not just wrestling, but other things that I find interesting and other rants, motherfuckers. All right, bitches, go fuck yourselves.